silence isn't running away. It's standing still when everything tries to shake you. She didn't expect the quiet. She expected begging. She expected anger. She expected you to fall apart. But you didn't. You stayed still. And that silence, that was the loudest message you ever sent. If you're watching this right now, comment, "Silence is power." Number 1. She expected you to beg. She expects your silence to be temporary, a phase, a moment of pride you'll break when the pressure gets heavy enough. She thinks you're just gathering words to come back and ask her what went wrong, to ask for another chance, to explain yourself like you always did, to chase the closure she denied you when she walked away like you were replaceable. But when the silence stretches and the apology never comes, she starts to panic, because her entire perception of you was built on the version of you who couldn't tolerate distance, the one who kept giving even when it drained you, the one who texted first, called first, forgave first, and tried harder even when the effort was one-sided. She had that version memorized, and when you don't act according to her script, the plot collapses, and she's forced to sit in a reality where she no longer owns your attention. And that's terrifying for someone who built their confidence on your constant validation. The moment she realized you weren't coming back, not because you couldn't, but because you wouldn't, the ground beneath her started to shift. She's refreshing your profile, hoping for activity. She's watching your silence more closely than she ever listened to your words, because now it's not you seeking answers. It's her seeking comfort in the absence she thought she wanted. And here's the part nobody tells you. When you stay quiet longer than expected, it breaks a rhythm they relied on, the rhythm where they ignore you, then reel you back in, test your emotions, provoke your loyalty, dangle affection like a reward, but you no longer play that game. You've seen the cost of constantly proving your worth to someone who treats your presence like background noise, and you've decided your peace is more valuable than their approval. This is where transformation begins, not in shouting your value, but in refusing to discount it. She wanted to know you'd always be available. She wanted to believe she could leave and return to find you still standing in the same place, waiting with open arms. But now she realizes you've moved on without announcing it, and that realization hits harder than any argument could, because you're not just silent, you're unavailable, and nothing threatens control like indifference. You're not angry, not bitter, not plotting revenge. You've simply closed the door and locked it, not with hatred but with wisdom, because you finally understand that access to you is a privilege, not a guarantee. The version of you who tolerated disrespect is gone, and what replaced him is someone who doesn't need to be needed, who doesn't seek closure, who doesn't argue with people committed to misunderstanding him. You've outgrown her games, her manipulation, her emotional inconsistency, and now she's the one staring at the last message, rereading her last move, wondering how it all slipped away without a single word. But the silence is the answer. The stillness is the statement. The lack of reaction is the loudest boundary you've ever set. And while she might try to play it cool, to act unbothered, deep down she knows she lost something real, not because you're gone, but because you've evolved. You've learned that value isn't something you prove, it's something you protect, and now you protect it with silence, with distance, with purpose. You've realized that emotional control isn't about shutting off feelings, it's about choosing not to let them control you. And that's why you're dangerous now, not because you're cold, but because you're clear. You're no longer trying to fix what broke you, no longer trying to convince someone to see your worth. You've stopped making noise for people who are committed to misunderstanding your silence, and instead, you focus on yourself, on growth, on clarity. You wake up and your energy goes to building, not chasing, to healing, not hoping. And that's what truly confuses her, because the version of you that would have begged is dead, buried under the lessons her games taught you, and she's now left haunted by the fact that she taught you how to live without her. She expected to be your addiction, your weakness, your need, But instead, she became your teacher, and her final lesson was this: you don't chase people who walk away like you're nothing, because now you know you are everything, and that knowledge is power, not because you shout it, but because you live it. And every second you stay silent is another second she remembers what she lost, not because you're punishing her, but because you finally understand that some people only hear you when you stop talking. And that's the difference now. You don't react. You remove yourself. And the silence she underestimated has now become the echo that fills every space you used to stand in. She scrolls, she checks, she waits, but you don't return. And that's when she realizes the value of something isn't in how loud it is. It's in how empty the world feels when it's gone. And you're gone for real this time, not because she told you to go, but because you chose to never return to places that broke you. And that's the real lesson. The evolution was never about making her see your worth. It was about finally seeing it for yourself and walking away without a word. And that's the real lesson. The evolution was never about making her see your worth. It was about finally seeing it for yourself and walking away without a word. And now that you've made that decision, there's something waiting for you that's going to take this transformation even deeper: the Stoic relationship blueprint. This isn't just a book. It's a lifeline, a foundation. It's packed with timeless principles that will show you how to reclaim your power, sharpen your emotional control, and never tolerate disrespect again. And now, it's available as an audiobook, so you can walk, jog, train, or drive while absorbing knowledge that'll stay with you for life. Imagine starting your day with unshakable clarity. Imagine never being caught off guard emotionally again. Imagine having a guide you can return to anytime you feel tested. This is that guide. This blueprint is yours forever. The moment you grab it, you've got access for life. Hit the link in the comments and change your entire mindset today, because you deserve peace, and now you'll know how to protect it. Number 2. Silence speaks louder than words. When you stop responding, you're no longer just quiet. You become the reflection they tried to avoid, the reaction they didn't expect, the realization they never prepared for. And this isn't just about not texting back or ignoring calls. This is about the power of not participating in a conversation that was always one-sided, where you were expected to explain your pain, justify your loyalty, defend your kindness while they acted reckless, thinking your presence was permanent no matter how temporary their respect was. And now that you've stopped speaking, they're finally forced to listen, not to your voice, but to the silence that's replaced it. The silence that doesn't entertain games, doesn't beg for validation, doesn't ask for clarity from someone who created confusion. And in that silence, every action they once took is magnified: the way they dismissed your concern, the way they manipulated your emotions, the way they used love like a weapon. It all comes back to them in waves, not because you screamed it, but because you didn't. Because the absence of your reaction has become the loudest consequence they've ever faced. And the longer you stay silent, the louder their thoughts become. Because without your attention feeding their ego, they're stuck wondering what you're thinking, what you're doing, if you've moved on, if you've upgraded, if someone else gets the version of you they took for granted. And that wondering becomes unbearable, because for the first time, they're dealing with something they can't control, can't predict, can't manipulate, and that is terrifying to someone who thrived off your predictability. But you're not predictable anymore, because silence is the sign that you've stopped explaining your value and started protecting it. You've stopped responding to disrespect disguised as misunderstanding and started treating your peace as non-negotiable. This is what happens when you grow, not when you talk about it, but when you live it. And silence is the living proof that you no longer argue with people committed to missing your point. You've learned that energy is currency, and you've stopped investing in situations that leave you bankrupt. The silence isn't revenge, it's revelation. It shows them who you are without the noise, without the emotion, without the explanations they use to twist and weaponize. And now they're left with nothing but their own reflection and the reality that your silence speaks truths they can't ignore. Like the fact that love doesn't beg, respect doesn't chase, and peace doesn't explain itself. They used to measure their worth by how much you reacted, but now there's nothing left to measure because you've taken your energy back, and that's the loudest message of all. And while they try to convince themselves you're just being cold, just being stubborn, deep down they know it's something much worse for them. It's indifference, and indifference is unforgiving. It means you're no longer trying to make it work. You're no longer seeking resolution. You've already resolved it within yourself. And there's nothing more intimidating than someone who doesn't need closure because they've already closed the door. You've chosen yourself. Not out of ego, but out of survival. Because you've seen what it costs to give everything to someone who gives you pieces in return. And now you're done giving discounts on your presence, your love, your loyalty. So your silence becomes sacred, a new standard, a filter that removes anyone who can't respect the calm. And they'll feel it every single day, in the moments they expect a message and get nothing, in the nights they check their phone and see no notifications, in the conversations they have with others where they mention your name and realize they don't know you anymore, because the silence didn't just take your voice away, it took their access. And that's irreversible once you've experienced the peace of no longer having to explain yourself to someone who never listened. Now they're the ones haunted by every memory they dismissed, every moment they thought you'd always be there, and they'll talk to people about you, trying to make sense of your quiet, trying to frame your distance as bitterness. But what they don't understand is that silence isn't spiteful. It's sacred. It's the place where you heal, where you rebuild, where you learn to stand on your own without needing to be understood by people who never took the time to know you. And in that silence, you become untouchable, not because you're hiding, but because you've elevated. You've chosen peace over attention, purpose over validation, growth over explanation, and that's what they can't compete with, because words can be manipulated. But silence is pure, unfiltered, and honest. It doesn't perform, it doesn't convince, it doesn't apologize for protecting itself. And that's why it's the most powerful thing you'll ever use when dealing with someone who only hears you when you're broken, who only values you when you're gone. And while they may never admit it, your silence will become the voice that stays with them, the voice that challenges their comfort, exposes their intentions, and reminds them that not everyone can be played twice, not everyone stays after betrayal, not everyone needs to scream to be heard. Some people just leave quietly and never come back, not because they didn't care, but because they cared enough about themselves to stop begging to be seen. And now your silence has become your freedom, your boundary, your declaration that you will never again explain your value to someone who made you question it. You've leveled up in a way they never saw coming, and the noise they used to create no longer reaches you because you've learned the truth. Some connections are built on chaos, and peace is the only way to break free, so you choose peace and let your silence speak for you. Number 3. She starts to reflect. She never thought you would stay quiet this long. She assumed the silence would end once you started missing the version of her that only showed up when it was convenient for her. She counted on your attachment to keep you chasing, to keep you apologizing for things she triggered. But something shifted. The day you stopped speaking, you started seeing, and without your voice there to comfort her, distract her, or reassure her, she had no choice but to sit with what she did, how she acted, and how she expected you to carry all the emotional weight in a connection that was only light for her because you made it that way. Now she replays every moment, not out of love, but out of confusion, because the version of you who accepted breadcrumbs disappeared overnight, and she didn't realize how dependent she was on your emotional labor until it was gone. Now she's scrolling old texts, remembering the consistency she mistook as weakness, revisiting how she twisted your kindness into obligation, and how she wore your loyalty like a trophy while refusing to match the same energy. It's only now, when she sits in the silence she created, that she begins to question her decisions, not because she regrets them in public, but because in private they haunt her. And while she told herself you'd always be available, that you'd always reach out, always come back, the longer you stay silent, the louder the guilt gets, and the more she realizes that her actions had consequences, not because you punished her, but because you finally enforced your value with distance. And now she's feeling something she never expected: doubt about herself, about her judgment, about the role she played in pushing away someone who genuinely cared. She starts to realize that you weren't overreacting when you asked for more communication, more presence, more consistency. You weren't too sensitive. You were simply honest, and she mistook honesty for pressure, mistook transparency for neediness, mistook love for control. And now that you've stopped speaking, she's speaking to herself, asking questions she doesn't like the answers to, like why did she keep testing you? Why did she keep creating distance just to see if you'd chase? Why did she weaponize affection to maintain power? And now she's sitting with the version of herself that your absence revealed, and for the first time she's seeing it clearly, because there's no one there to shift the blame onto, no one there to absorb her emotions, no one there to fix what she broke. And that silence she once thought gave her leverage is now the weight she carries every time she thinks of what you were, who you were, and how you stayed solid when she was shaky. And now that you've withdrawn, she realizes that not every person who disappears does so out of weakness. Some disappear out of clarity, and that's the part that breaks her pride, because this isn't about losing attention. It's about losing access. It's about realizing that she fumbled someone who only wanted to build, someone who didn't want control, didn't want submission, just wanted to grow together without needing to constantly prove they were worth staying for. And now she's reflecting, not because she misses you, but because she understands you. She finally sees why you stopped explaining, why you stopped engaging, why you chose stillness over screaming. And while she won't admit it, while she might act unbothered, the truth is clear. Your silence forced her into a level of self-awareness she never invited. And now that the mirror isn't showing her your love anymore, it's showing her her flaws, her patterns, her decisions. And for the first time, she has to accept the possibility that she wasn't the victim. She was the lesson, and your disappearance was the consequence, not of a mistake, but of a series of choices that devalued you in the name of keeping control. And this reflection doesn't come with clarity. It comes with confusion, because now she's seeing that you weren't asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person, and the regret isn't just about losing you. It's about realizing she never truly had you, because she never made the space for you to feel safe, to feel appreciated, to feel supported. And now that you've gone, she has to face the fact that you never asked her to be perfect. You just asked her to be real, and she couldn't deliver. So now she's left reflecting not just on who you were, but on who she had to become to push you away. And that truth stings deeper than any argument could. Because when a person realizes they broke something they didn't know how to build, the silence becomes unbearable. Not because it's empty, but because it's full of reminders of what they had and what they'll never get back. Number 4, you become the mystery. You used to be predictable, accessible, emotionally available on demand. She thought she knew your patterns, your tells, your limits. She believed she could walk away and come back whenever, that no matter how distant or disrespectful she acted, you would still be there when the silence became too quiet for her liking. But when she looks up and you're gone without warning, without explanation, without a trace of the man who used to over-explain and over-give and over-prove, the confusion hits her harder than anything you've ever said, because now you're not angry, you're unreadable, and that scares her in a way she doesn't admit. not because you're playing a game, but because you've stopped participating in hers, and in a world where attention is currency, you've cut her off from the emotional credit she lived on. Now you're the unanswered question in her mind, the open tab she can't close, the presence that vanished without begging for closure. And your silence isn't passive. It's powerful, because it forces her to confront something she can't handle. Not knowing, not controlling, not being able to predict your next move. You used to be transparent, maybe too transparent, always explaining your intentions, your feelings, your loyalty, and now you've become the person she can't read, the one who left no breadcrumbs, no signals, no desperate posts for her to decode. And that shift turns you into something she can't define anymore, and people fear what they can't define. So she starts imagining, building stories, asking herself who you're talking to, where you've gone, how you've changed so fast. She scrolls your old pictures, not to relive moments, but to try and read between the lines, trying to find the clues she never paid attention to when you were right there. And every unanswered message, every day that passes without a hey from you, becomes a reminder that she no longer knows who you are. And now, instead of dismissing you like she once did, she wonders if she ever understood you at all, because the version of you she controlled is gone, and what replaced it is a mystery she can't manipulate. And that's what burns the most, because she expected you to stay simple, to stay accessible, to stay stuck in the role she created for you. And when you broke out of it without announcing your transformation, you became a different kind of threat. Not loud, not aggressive, just distant and focused and detached from anything that once made you chase someone who didn't value consistency. You're no longer trying to be understood. You're not explaining what she broke. You're not justifying your silence, because mystery isn't about being fake. It's about being unreachable to those who mistook your openness as an invitation to abuse your loyalty. And now she sees you with different eyes, not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped showing up in the ways that allowed her to take your presence for granted. And that absence has more weight than any argument ever could. You don't post subliminals. You don't try to prove that you're healing. You simply vanished into the next version of yourself, and that lack of access makes you unforgettable. She thought she needed attention, but now she's addicted to the silence, checking, rechecking, rereading, refreshing, hoping for a mistake, a crack, a leak, something that gives her proof that you still think about her. But your silence doesn't just protect your peace. It makes her question her past, her value, her decisions, because when someone walks away quietly, without announcement, it forces reflection, not in you, but in them. And now she wonders if she's the only one struggling, if she's the only one feeling the absence. And the more she wonders, the more you become a story without an ending, and people can't let go of stories without closure. She tries to act unbothered, tells herself you were replaceable, but deep down, she knows. Replacements come with noise, distractions, conversations that don't hit the same. Because when someone disappears without malice, it forces you to face the possibility that maybe, just maybe, they weren't trying to hurt you. They were just done being misunderstood, and the silence they left behind is louder than any goodbye. You've become the version of yourself she can't access, can't decode, can't dismiss. And in doing that, you've regained every ounce of power you gave away when you used to overcompensate for her emotional distance. Now you're unavailable, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, and that clarity creates a distance no apology can close. Because mystery isn't about hiding. It's about choosing not to be read by people who only value what they can interpret. And now your absence is a constant presence in her world, not because you're trying to make a statement, but because you are the statement, and that's what makes you unforgettable. Number 5, the power flips. She always assumed the power was hers. She mistook your consistency for weakness, your transparency for predictability, and your commitment for dependence. She played with your time because she thought she could control the rhythm of your emotions, thought pulling away would create panic in you and bring her more attention, more power, more leverage to do what she wanted, while keeping you emotionally chained to the hope that she might one day take you seriously. But something changed the moment you stopped playing along, the moment you stopped reacting to the breadcrumbs, stopped over-explaining yourself, stopped validating her actions by responding with understanding even when she gave you disrespect. Because now she can feel the shift, and it's not just the silence. It's the power dynamic that flipped so subtly, she didn't even notice it until it was too late. You used to be the one over-invested, trying to make things work, initiating every conversation, giving her the emotional upper hand while hoping one day she'd realize your value. But you've grown, and now she's on the outside, trying to read a person who no longer needs her attention. And that shift in energy exposes her vulnerability in a way she's never experienced before. She doesn't admit it out loud, but she feels it the moment she realized you weren't trying anymore, that you had no desire to explain your side, to fight for clarity, to beg for a place in her life. The power flipped instantly because now she's dealing with someone who has nothing left to lose and everything to gain. She's dealing with someone who found clarity in being disrespected and now protects that clarity like it's life itself. And that realization burns her pride because she didn't expect to lose control over your emotions, your attention, your presence. She was used to being chased, to being prioritized despite her inconsistency, to being forgiven faster than she could say sorry. And now she finds herself waiting for a message that never comes, for validation that no longer exists, and that waiting turns into questioning, and the questioning becomes obsession, because the worst punishment for someone who thrives off emotional control is not losing you. It's losing access to the version of you that used to give without limits, the version of you that gave them the illusion of power. And now that you've reclaimed it by going silent, by going private, by going inward, she no longer knows where she stands. And when someone doesn't know where they stand, they start to lose their grip, not just on the relationship, but on themselves, because now she's the one second-guessing her decisions, trying to figure out why you haven't chased, who you're talking to, how you suddenly became immune to the tricks that used to bring you back. And every day that passes without a reaction from you is another reminder that the leash she once held no longer reaches you, that the silence she once used as a weapon is now being used against her, not out of revenge, but out of evolution. Because you didn't flip the power to punish her. You flipped it to free yourself, to protect your energy from someone who repeatedly showed you that love in her world was conditional, transactional, and temporary. And when a person realizes they no longer have power over someone they once emotionally controlled, they start to unravel. Not because they care, but because they lost their reflection, their validation, their sense of superiority. And that's what happens when you grow. You no longer argue about what you deserve. You no longer beg to be heard. You no longer explain why you walked away from someone who made you feel replaceable. You simply take your silence and your power and build a life without the noise they used to bring. And while they try to act unaffected, while they pretend nothing has changed, deep down they know you're different. They know they pushed you too far one too many times, that the last argument, the last lie, the last manipulation finally reached the version of you who doesn't play emotional roulette anymore. And now that you're not chasing, not replying, not engaging, the only thing they can do is watch and wonder. Because the moment you stopped needing them to see your worth, you forced them to sit with their own insecurities, and now their control turns to confusion, their indifference turns to regret, because nothing is more powerful than the energy you take back from someone who thought they had you forever, and now she doesn't know what to do, because the power isn't in getting attention anymore. It's in not being able to get yours. Number 6. Your peace becomes non-negotiable. The moment you stop allowing your energy to be traded for attention is the moment your entire reality shifts. Because once you realize that not everyone deserves access to you just because they want it, you stop entertaining anything that doesn't align with the direction you're headed. You no longer see your silence as something you need to justify or explain. You begin to understand that the more you grow, the quieter you become, not because you're avoiding conflict, but because you're no longer interested in proving your worth to people who refuse to see it when it was in front of them every single day. Now your boundaries aren't something you negotiate. They're something you enforce without apology, without explanation, without bending to emotional guilt or manipulation. You no longer see solitude as punishment. You see it as preparation, as protection, as peace. And that peace becomes the foundation of everything you're building. And the second you make peace your priority, the chaos that once had you distracted loses its grip on your mind. Because now you see clearly that being understood by everyone is not your mission. Being aligned with who you are and what you value is. And this is where everything changes. When you stop texting first, not out of pride, but out of clarity. When you stop responding to drama because it no longer feeds you, when you stop attending emotional roller coasters out of obligation and start walking away from situations that once made you question your worth, because now you see every interaction as either protecting your peace or draining it. And you've had enough of being drained by people who never had the intention to pour into you. Now you prioritize calm over chaos, consistency over games, growth over attachment, and you finally understand that love isn't proven through suffering, it's sustained through respect. And if someone can't meet you there, you let them go without fighting, without explaining, without hoping they change, because your peace is not a bargaining chip, it's the baseline, the standard, and anything or anyone that threatens it gets cut off. Not out of hatred, but out of self-respect. You've stopped trying to win people back who were comfortable seeing you struggle. You no longer beg for effort. You don't chase closure. You don't seek validation in places that have disrespected you repeatedly. And the woman who once had the power to disrupt your emotional balance now feels like a distant memory. Not because you hate her, but because you've healed beyond her reach. You don't argue anymore because you've learned the power of being unbothered. You don't react anymore because you understand that every time you stay silent, you keep your energy. And every time you keep your energy, you stay in control. Now your peace isn't an idea. It's your identity, and you protect it the way people protect their most valuable possessions, because it is, and not everyone deserves to experience the version of you that's calm, focused, and elevated, especially those who used to play with your loyalty like it was disposable. Now you walk different, not because you've changed your route, but because you've stopped stopping for people who never planned to walk with you. You don't let confusion into your space anymore. You don't try to fix what was meant to fall apart, and you don't question why people leave, because your peace has shown you that what's real stays and what's not fades when it can no longer feed off your energy. You've matured past needing to be heard in every conversation. You've reached the point where being misunderstood doesn't even offend you, and when someone tries to provoke a reaction, they're met with nothing, not because you're weak, but because you've become untouchable to the chaos they operate in. And now, even she notices it. The one who used to hold your emotions hostage with inconsistency. She notices the stillness in you and feels the absence of power she once had. And it makes her uncomfortable, not because she wants you back, but because she can no longer access the version of you that made her feel important. Now you don't give your peace away in hopes of connection. You build connections based on peace, and if someone can't meet you at that level, they never get past the front door. Because the days of letting temporary people live in your head are over. You've cleared the space, redesigned the boundaries, rewritten the rules, and now you understand that real growth isn't in becoming louder. It's in becoming clearer about what you will and will not allow, and now you live that truth daily, and while others scramble to understand why they lost access to you, you don't lose a second of sleep, because you know that protecting your peace is not selfish. It's survival, it's strategy, it's the standard for a life that values purpose over popularity, truth over comfort, and inner strength over external approval. And when you carry yourself like that, you stop being an option in other people's lives. You become a standard they can't meet. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you knows it's time. Time to stop living on emotional scraps. Time to stop chasing validation and start leading with clarity, power, and peace. Society doesn't want you to have this. They want you distracted, weakened, emotionally reactive, begging for attention and losing yourself in the process. But you've seen too much now. You've felt it. You know you're built for more. And that's why the Stoic relationship blueprint exists. To give you the timeless tools they never taught you. It's hard truths, raw principles, and a guide that will wake you up and arm you for life. And now, it's available in audiobook format. You can listen while walking, training, or reclaiming your peace. It's in the comments. Take it. Own it. It's yours forever. If you're ready to finally level up and never look back, comment, "I reclaim my peace." Then like this video, subscribe, and help more men find these truths before they waste another year in regret.